Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and I hope all of you guys are having a good morning, evening, wherever you guys are from. And today we're going to be doing a technical analysis on Litecoin paired to the US dollar, because what we have here is actually a pretty bearish scenario on both the 4-hour and on the daily chart, on both our candle chart and on our indicators and oscillators. So what I really want to do here is break this down, explain why this is bearish and where I expect this to go. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and stick around for the video, and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. But that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into this, because again, I think that this is something that everyone should know when looking at this and be able to recognize that this is actually a bearish scenario, at least way more statistically and through probabilities than it would be in a bullish sense rather. So looking at this, I want to give credit to Sawyer, because he's actually the one who pointed this out to me. And without him, I probably wouldn't have noticed it, or not before it's too late. So with him pointing this out at a prime position, what this means is that it actually presents a really great chance actually earning some money here. At least for me, I will probably be trading this. Now, when looking at this, I already had this drawn up. I just hadn't been looking at Litecoin lately. A lot of my attention has been turned to XRP or Ethereum or Bitcoin. And with Litecoin doing exceedingly well in the recent weeks, it really puts this at a prime position to potentially short it. And now what I want to highlight here is actually the bearish formation pattern itself being this rising broadening wedge. And so when you have a rising broadening wedge forming, this is a bearish formation continuation pattern. And with this thing seemingly being right near the top of this, it definitely presents a good opportunity to potentially short this area. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum, and those look like they might want to take one more leg up here. So I'm a little bit hesitant to enter into a short at the moment, because again, those look like they are having at least a short pump and then a large dump sort of scenario. And so I don't want to get kind of caught on this short pump that might lead to another leg up or another breakout in Litecoin. So I'm playing this area a little bit safe right now, a little bit conservative, but I am looking to overall short this area, because if we go ahead and we take a look at this from the daily, you can see very, very clearly that this is an ascending broadening wedge, and this is just playing out absolutely beautiful. You can see, of course, your 1, 2, now 3, and 4, and 5 touches on resistance, and then you have now about 4 to 5 touches on support as well. So you're really riding this thing well, and the way that this is playing out is actually just textbook. And so ideally, if this is an ascending broadening wedge, what you're actually going to do is actually kind of have a breakdown from here. You're probably going to hit support in this area, and so that might be one sell zone, and then it really has one of two options. So from there, it can kind of rally back up towards the top of the ascending channel, or it can actually break down into the bottom of this. Now, if it were to break down over here, I would be kind of careful that maybe it does hold support, maybe it doesn't. But if it breaks support, then you're certainly going to be taking a hit on Litecoin, and I would assume that you'd fall somewhere into the area of this region around $30. So this is again a pretty significant opportunity on Litecoin. Again, the ability to keep such a tight stop loss in this area is what really interests me. And I'm sorry, that was the 3-day. But looking at this on the 1-day, you can see it just as clearly. But again, it's the opportunity of having such a tight stop loss is what's so interesting to me, because what this allows me to do is have very tight risk management. And if I can keep my stop loss right above here, this is going to mitigate any kind of risk. My risk versus reward therefore goes up a lot, and when I'm looking at this scenario, it makes it a whole lot more appealing to me. Now, something that we were looking at over here, or really were the indicators and the oscillators. Again, you're seeming like you're having lower highs, on your daily chart, and also lower highs on your indicators and oscillators of things like your MACD, as we can see right in here. Lower highs over here. Looks like we're setting ourselves up for triple bearish divergence, having our first one right here, our second one right here, and our third one over here in this area. We're seeing really the same thing over here with our oscillators, and then very much the same thing through our RSI as well. Now this one I think is the most significant and definitely the cleanest. And when I'm looking at this, again, I am looking for triple bearish divergence on my RSI. So if this does get a little bit higher, I will enter into a Litecoin short, and I will love to short this range. Again, I just think that there's so much opportunity to shorting here. Again, it could go wrong, but if it does, I have a tight stop loss, and if it doesn't, there is an absolute ton of profit to be taken in this area. So moving on to our, moving back to the 4-hour chart, a couple of the things that I wanted to highlight is that we're above both of our EMAs right now, and we're also above both of our EMAs on our daily as well, I believe. So yeah, so we're actually above both of our EMAs on the daily. So this is not a bad thing. The fact that you broke above your 200 EMA on your daily is pretty significant to me, saying that this does have a lot of power, and that's, again, just why I'm kind of hesitant, because what we were able to see over here is that when Litecoin's been retracing in this area, all it came back down to was the candle body opening and then immediately shot back up. So that to me says that this thing is still looking kind of strong in this range, and along with the fact that it's continually riding support without even touching the bottom of this ascending broadening wedge, is telling me that this thing definitely is showing signs of strength, and I just need to be careful in this area. So if I, again, like any short, if I was to enter into a short in this range, it's gonna, I do have to make sure that I set a stop loss in, again, like somewhere above resistance up here. So, and that's just to mitigate risk, because if this thing were to break out, I would rather lose, the 1 to 5% of hitting a stop loss than I would on just getting absolutely liquidated and wrecked if this were to have another breakout scenario and this thing goes up and starts trying to test higher levels over here. So moving back over here to Litecoin, I want to go ahead and look at some of the 4-hour stuff, because this is a little bit different, and I should probably delete some of this just so this looks a little bit cleaner. But what we can see over here is that it looks like our MACD is actually starting to round over here on our 4-hour chart, which is letting me know that the bullish divergence and the bullish sentiment is kind of rounding off with that. Not to say that that is a long-term or a bad thing, but you can see that you're still forming higher highs over here on your 4-hour MACD, which is, again, a very good thing. Your oscillators are going higher than the previous ones, which is another good thing. But the thing, again, that I'm looking at on the overall scale is the fact that this is rounding off. Maybe it doesn't make a large breakdown, happen, but I think that this could, at least be scalped, right? Because if you're really oversold on your RSI, you're pretty oversold over here. You're over up to about 80 to 81. And so looking at this area, again, fairly oversold over here on your RSI. You're oversold on your stochastics as well. Looks like it's about to start rounding as well. And then your MACD is actually rounding off. Now, there is no oversold for the MACD, but with this rounding off so high up on the chart over here, about a 0.8 on your 4-hour, it does give me the sentiment that this thing is going to start looking bearish in the short-term future. So looking at this, again, I'm not in any kind of position yet. If you guys are on the Patreon, I will update you on any positions I take and why, and I will keep you guys posted. But looking at this again, this is an overall bearish formation continuation pattern, and it doesn't look a whole lot better from the Bitcoin pairing either, because I know a lot of people like to trade this off of the Bitcoin pairing. Personally, I do not like to. But depending on what exchange you use, you can only use one or the other. Sometimes you can use both. So when I'm looking at this from the Bitcoin pairing, it's very much a similar scenario. You have an ascending broadening wedge over here. There's really no denying that. You're riding this line of support, you're riding this line of resistance, and what this does is actually form this overall picture of an ascending broadening wedge, which is a bearish formation and continuation pattern. So definitely something that, one has to note when looking at this area. It's definitely a bearish one. It's hard to argue that you would want to long such an area. One, because you're so overextended. Two, because all of your oscillators are oversold, and longing at an oversold area is just risky, to be honest. So I would significantly more want to short this area than I would want to long it. So maybe it's not the most bearish of situations yet, but I think it's going to turn out to be quite the bearish one indeed. So, again, a big shout out to Sawyer for actually pointing this out to me. I just was not planning on looking at Litecoin today, probably not even tomorrow. And so I'm really glad that he was able to point this out and catch this at such a good area of opportunity. So again, I'm not in any position yet. People always tend to think that I'm in these giant leveraged positions, and I'm just not. I let the trades come to me, and this is one that I'm also just kind of keeping an eye on. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys did, do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this. Is Litecoin a good shorting opportunity up here, or would you guys actually like to see this thing actually have some sort of crazy breakout, defying the TA and moving back up and testing some of these higher levels over here? I want to know your guys' thoughts on this in the comment section below, so let me know what you guys think. But until next time, guys, I will see you in the next video.